Hi there, this is Doug Zanes. Welcome to my weekly radio show. So thank you for tuning in this week. Today I want to talk to you about hiring an attorney, and how you pick that attorney or that law firm that you're going to hire. Quite honestly, for any matter. I mean, as you all who listen to this program know, I'm a personal injury attorney. I have a big personal injury law firm in Arizona. We have offices in Tucson and Phoenix. We have a number of attorneys that work for us, as well as a big staff. So personal injury is what those are the types of cases that we handle. But really, when it comes to choosing an attorney for any legal matter, I don't know that it differs much from the consumer's side or the person who's looking. But some things you ought to be aware of on the attorney end, and so I want to talk about that a little bit because I think it's a valid topic. I think it comes up, pretty often. Everybody who has a legal issue has to decide who's going to help them or who they want to turn to, and so here's where I want to start. When it comes to complex matters, for lack of a better way to put it, I guess that's probably the wrong way to put it because even personal injury cases are complex. But see, one of the things that's become clear to me, in the 17 years or so that I've been doing this, is for whatever reason, just about every attorney that I've ever come across will take on a personal injury case. They just will. Attorneys don't seem to turn personal injury cases away. Where that same attorney, let's say, if the real focus of what they do is, collections or real estate, if somebody, knocks on their door and wants to talk to them about a criminal defense matter because they've gotten in trouble, let's say they've gotten a DUI and they need an attorney, they'll actually tell them, hey, look, I don't handle criminal cases. You need to find a criminal lawyer. Or, I don't handle real estate cases, or, you need to find a real estate lawyer, or I don't do wills or probate matters. You need to find a lawyer that does that. But for whatever reason, when somebody knocks on their door with a personal injury case, they'll take it. And I think it's because attorneys, a lot of attorneys incorrectly believe, quite frankly, just like a lot of our clients incorrectly believe, that personal injury cases are easy, that it's pretty straightforward. You open up a claim, the insurance company sends somebody a check, and on top of that, I, the attorney, get, a third or 35 or 40% of that as my fee, which is easy money, compared to all the work that I have to put into, let's say, a criminal case to make that same fee or even to make a smaller fee. And so they'll take the personal injury case. And then I think most attorneys also figure, and if it turns out, it's too complex, or if it turns out it's a big case, with big value that, is too complicated for them, then they'll go find an attorney who handles personal injury cases, who's really good at them. And if it's a good value case, they'll be able to associate the case with that attorney, with that law firm, and still get a portion of the fee, paid to them. And every state's different when it comes to that and how those kind of fee splits are supposed to take place. But because of those things, everybody will take a personal injury case. And I think that's a huge disservice, quite frankly, to people who have been in accidents and who have been hurt. Because the reality of it is these days personal injury cases are very complex. Even your normal, everyday car accident is complex when you look at health insurance subrogation issues, when you look at hospitals and doctors and balance billing lien issues, Medicare, if somebody who's hurt has Medicare, they pay the bills, can be a complicated process to deal with them and get them paid paid back correctly. You have all of those issues combined with the fact that these days insurance companies fight on these cases. And certainly, normal everyday cases where an attorney maybe used to be able to take it 10, 15 years ago, resolve it, for $12,000, $15,000 for their client and get what they would consider to be, I think, a relatively easy fee. We look at those cases now in the firm. I actually put together all my fee information over the last few weeks to take a look at it and how our fees are translating to cases and clients. And even on those cases, those smaller cases, an $8,000 total payout or 10, when we look at our time as a firm in that case, the attorney time and the paralegal time, and we bill it out at the normal hourly rate, I think, and I use that term normal loosely because every firm's different, and but when we put an hourly rate to it, which is a very, quite honestly, reasonable hourly rate, in probably over 50% of those normal everyday cases, the fee that we get is actually significantly less than the fee would be at an hourly rate. The contingency fee, that 35%, which is what we sign people at for a pre-litigation resolution, is actually significantly less than our time in the case. So our fee may be, let's say, $3,000, and our time in the case is $7,500. And so, firms like ours either need to quit taking those small cases because you're not making money on them, or we need to be large enough and have enough quality people working within our firm and have kind of a structured way to handle those cases to be able to handle them efficiently and handle a lot of those cases to make it work out in a positive way for the firm financially. And so when you have an attorney who will just take that case, there's, in my experience, you're sorely mistaken that it's not complicated, it's easy, it doesn't take a lot of time. But I can tell you, if you, the consumer who's listening to this, have been hurt in an accident, just about any attorney you talk to, quite honestly, will probably be willing to take your case. So how do you find the right firm? One, when you've got a friend or a family member who's an attorney and you're thinking, hey, why don't I just hire him or her? I think your first question should be, how many of these cases do you handle? I mean, what do you handle normally? And really, what's your practice? How do you make a living as an attorney? If you're an attorney who has a very general practice, you'll do some criminal cases, you'll do an immigration case here or there, you'll take a divorce, you'll do a personal injury case. I'm not saying that attorney isn't qualified to handle a personal injury case, but you, as a person who's been injured, need to know that. You need to understand what their practice is. What types of cases do they do? And if it's a varied practice and it's a small practice with just an attorney and a handful of support staff, you need to know that and you need to understand that. Because there is I just look at our firm. There are attorneys who, quite frankly, would say you should never hire a firm like ours. That, we're a mill, we just handle thousands of cases for clients and don't really work the cases the way that they're supposed to be worked. And I can tell you there's nothing further from the truth. The advantage to one, handling all the cases that we do, is we see everything. Quite frankly, I don't think I still see new things and I'm still surprised by the crazy things that insurance companies do. But we see so much compared to somebody who handles a dozen cases a year. And so, you want to know, quite frankly, what your attorney's personal injury practice is like when making that determination. Because really what you're trying to do is you're trying to figure out what the right firm for you is. And it may be that small firm where the attorney that you're talking to, that you're hiring, will be the attorney who's working on your case. Because at Zanes Law, I oversee all the cases. I'm responsible for all of our attorneys. But I'm not the attorney working on your case. It's one of the many attorneys that work for me and with me. And that doesn't work for everybody. There are people who say, no, that's not what I want. I want the attorney whose name is on the door to be the one working on my case. And that's okay. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with that. But you need to, but by understanding who you're talking to, what the attorney's practice is like, you as the consumer can make that choice. One of the advantages to a big firm like ours is we have the resources, quite frankly, to finance all the costs in what can be very expensive cases without an issue. Can small firms with an attorney or two and a handful of staff finance those cases easily? I don't know. I mean, I'm not sitting in their firm, but that's always something that I've wondered. In our firm, we require that our paralegals talk to the clients on their caseload every 2 weeks, and I require that the attorneys who work for me talk to their clients every 4 or 5 weeks. I think consumers believe if it's a small firm, if there's one attorney and the attorney I'm talking to the day I sign up is the one handling my case, I'll talk to him all the time. And in a perfect world, that would be true. From what I understand, the biggest complaint about attorneys is they never talk to their clients. And I can tell you most firms out there are small firms like that. So that tells me that those firms aren't able to talk to their clients regularly because they don't have the infrastructure, the staff, the availability that maybe a bigger firm has. But again, you look at a big firm. That's whether those things happen is to a large degree dependent on the firm culture and what the requirements are and what, quite honestly, the firm owners believe is important. So the only way to know that is to really, know what you want as the consumer and choose your attorney that way. Now, keep a couple things in mind. One, the nice thing about certainly personal injury cases and contingency fees is if you decide you're not happy with the attorney or the firm that you've hired, you can always hire a new law firm. The challenges become, one, the old law firm who you had, who you're not happy with, does have the right to put a lien on your case for their time and the work that they've done on it. And so that can make it harder for your new attorney, for you to find a new attorney. Because if your old attorney is going to have to pay part of the fee that they earn back to your old attorney, they may not want to take on the case. That's a possibility. We've always been very, I think, reasonable when it comes to that issue. There are cases where clients have decided we're not the right firm for them. They've moved on to somebody else, and we've had a lien and we've been paid on that lien, and there have been other cases where we've waived that lien and we've let it go, because that's what needed to be done for that particular client. So every case is different. Every law firm's different. I mean, I know firms who, in my opinion, stick to that, their ability to have that lien ethically and will not budge ever, in my experience. And it makes it real hard for you as as a person with the case, to simply trying to change attorneys to get somebody else to take on your case. So you got to keep that in mind. I mean, you can change attorneys, but it's not always as smooth or easy as it's supposed to be. I can tell you there are some attorneys who make it very hard, from what I can see, to get a copy of your file and do what you need to do to move on, even though, they're not supposed to necessarily. And so, again, is that how attorneys do things, or is it just kind of something we've seen, Yeah, because it popped up, unfortunately, once or twice over the years. I don't know. But I can tell you, you're supposed to be able to easily transition from one attorney to the other, and it's not supposed to increase the fee that you pay. Meaning, if you fire our firm, hire a new firm, you don't owe that firm, the new firm, let's say, their contingency fee and then our fee on top of it. The way it's supposed to work is the attorney who's taking on the new case has their fee agreement for whatever it is. Let's say 35%. When the case gets resolved, then that attorney is supposed to be able to pay your medical bills, give you your money, and the only question is, well, how much of the fee does that attorney get and how much of the fee do we get based off of our lien? And we work that out between us. I have seen, and I think attorneys all understand that. I'm not sure. Maybe they just use it as kind of a negotiating tactic. But I have seen attorneys say, hey, look, our client doesn't want to pay you on your lien, and they seem to have the attorney seems to have a misconception. They seem to think that the monies paid for the lien have something to do with the monies going to the client. They don't. That's an issue between the two attorneys and doesn't impact the client. But, again, that's just something I think clients need to understand. And so what is my advice? My advice is to first spend a little bit of time thinking about what you want, what's important to you in the law firm that you hire and the attorney that you hire. Do you want a small firm because you think you'll get more personalized service? If that's the case, then you know that answer. Do you want a big firm because they do lots and lots of the types of cases that you have and you want that experience? Do you want something in between or something different? But you start there and figure that out. When you figure that out, that will drive who you ultimately choose to hire. I mean, it really, I think it really is that simple. So I never would hire an attorney because he's a friend or a family member to handle something for me, unless that's what they do, unless they're the best choice, in my opinion. But I think people sometimes make it more complicated than it needs to be. Keep this in mind. You need to hire an attorney in a law firm who you trust and who you believe in. It doesn't do you, I think you do yourself a disservice if you hire an attorney or a law firm and you don't really have faith in them, and then throughout your case, whatever kind of case it is, you're trying to be the person driving what happens and how it should happen. Because that's why you're hiring an attorney. I mean, if you knew how to handle your real estate matter or handle your personal injury matter or your criminal matter on your own, then you don't need an attorney. So if you're hiring an attorney, you're hiring them for their expertise and their help. And you need to have enough faith in them and enough trust in them to take their advice. I mean, and that's important. And I, quite honestly, and I say that from experience, I've made that same mistake as an attorney who's hired attorneys in the past to do legal work for me and haven't necessarily taken their advice. And I'm an attorney who knows more about legal issues and cases than the general public who's probably listening to this. And so you want to take their advice, and so you need to have somebody you trust. You need to have somebody you have faith in, and so you want to make the decision that way. And one of the challenges is you have to make that decision in most circumstances pretty quickly, because you don't have months to research and try to figure it out. And so those are all the things you're looking at. Again, it's nice to be able to look at Google reviews and see what past clients say about attorneys. I think those are great things to look at because although every case is different, again, Google reviews are great because anybody can put them out there. You need to know what clients say about the attorneys that represented them, and I think that's a good guide. I can tell you in my experience what other attorneys say about other attorneys is a very bad guide. It just is. That's just my experience. That's just my opinion. But you're better off looking for things like Google reviews on the internet in order to see what clients who have been represented by that particular attorney or that particular law firm are saying about them. And in this day and age, with all the technology and computers, if an attorney doesn't have clients saying good things about them, sometimes part of me would wonder why. Because again, if you've represented people and done a great job for them, you should hopefully see them saying that. So those are the things I'd consider. I think it's a very important decision to make, and so that's just a guide. But if you have any questions, you can certainly email me at dzanes@zaneslaw.com, and I'll be happy to answer them. You all have a great day. We'll talk to you again soon.